Hey, what up though, everybody? It's the Muscle Man Musician. Go hit subscribe because I'm going to be hitting you with a lot of content finally. Hopefully I'll have the nice little fancy logo and stuff coming up soon, but one of the first things that we're talking about on this channel, because it's one of the most important things to get out of the way, but we will progress on it later, for every man in particular, bodybuilding or just getting in shape, working out, lifting weights. One of the biggest things, one of the biggest deterrents, the one thing that I think low-key has kept a lot of guys away from going further on their fitness journey is gyno. Reason being, it's one of these things that's mentally debilitating. You're working out, you're getting muscular, your body's getting hard, pause, and it's one of the most masculine things you can do, but yet you got titties. No matter what you do, your chest gets strong. You try different types of training and everything. You listen to the many tips from people. A lot of times you hear, oh, it'll just take longer. I'll just lose more weight. So it just doesn't happen at a pace that makes any kind of sense. You end up saying to yourself, I think they're full of crap. I'm never going to look the way I want to look with my shirt off. And so on and so forth. It really messes with your mind. You can be pretty much jacked every now. Surgery proves this. A lot of people getting surgery for gyno, people like Dwayne Johnson, proves how big of a deal gyno is. They get completely jacked everywhere, low body fat. They got that little something there. They got to go to a doctor and have it cut out. And it usually looks kind of strange afterwards, honestly. But that's neither here nor there. Whereas, say your legs naturally gained a little pudge in the inside of them, you wouldn't give a damn about that. Perhaps a woman would care about that more. Say you got a disproportionate amount of fat in your lower abdomen, which, most people do, but a little more than most people. It wouldn't deter you from working out. But when you're doing bench press and you're getting strong and your chest is getting big, like widening out and everything, and your shoulders are big, and then you just got this flab, that will keep you from working out, period. All those other positives that you attain won't mean a damn thing at the end of it all if you got bitch tits. So, quickly, actual gynocomastia, it's a buildup of tissue in the lower pectorals that's caused by a hormonal imbalance of some sort. And I'm not talking about guys coming off of steroids and stuff like that. That's not who this video is for. This is for the everyday guy, perhaps the beginner in training or the guy who's just getting back into it. And there are different degrees of this. You'll hear a very rigid separation when you start looking this stuff up. I know because I did. I was like, hey, what have they found out in the last 10 years? And what I was finding was, if it's not this extreme where you have the banana boobs from National Geographic Women, then you don't have gyno. You just have an underdeveloped lower chest. First off, there's not really a lower chest, but that's a whole different conversation. But basically, are you retaining more fat, significantly more fat in that area than anywhere else in your body? If that's true, you have some sort of gyno. I have what I call a moderate case of it. Maybe a moderate to severe case of it, just for the simple fact that because of my particular genetics, meaning the width of my shoulders, the size of my body, my rib cage, everything else is not as noticeable. But as far as the fat content, it's probably it's probably up there. You'll find the guys that say it's black or white. Either more than likely, if it's not an extreme, you have an underdeveloped lower chest. Okay, that's probably not true. But who knows, it could be. But if you've been working out enough to be watching these videos, and for Christ's sakes, to find mine, chances are it's not that your chest is underdeveloped. I don't believe that for a minute. Because the first thing we train, essentially, as boys, is our chest. So I don't think that's the case. You'll hear these other, do decline presses that will activate your lower chest more, things like that. Eat this kind of food. Or maybe you'll hear that, hey, it's your genetics. You can't do anything to offset this. You'll hear all these extremes, you'll hear all these know-it-alls out there. What I'll say is the same thing I said in my opening video on here. I've tried just about everything when it comes to working out, building muscle, and I've definitely tried everything over both short periods of time, intermediate, long periods of time to alleviate the gyno. It screws with me many, many times a day, even when I didn't train that day, which is rare, but even when I'm nowhere near training chest, which is also kind of rare. It screws with you, man. It really does. That one lacking body part can completely destroy your training approach and your want to train. Those are just some of the things that you'll find when looking for a quick answer online. Now, what you'll hear mixed in with a lot of the nonsense is to lose weight. Yes, obviously, you want to lose body fat. But do you need to lose it at a rate that will cause you to build less muscle elsewhere? Or even in the chest? No, you don't. I did that. I lost too much in 6 months. I believe it was 55 pounds. Now I've only lost like 2 more over the next month and a half. I slowed it down a bit. Of course you want to lose weight, especially if you're just getting into this. But I think that the rule stands that the absolute most you want to lose in a week is 1% of your body weight. If you go any lower than that, you start having some days where you definitely don't have enough energy, you definitely don't have enough protein to train and gain muscle. You're losing muscle when you start going beyond that. You know, if you're 200 pounds, the absolute most you want to lose in a week is 2 pounds. You know, set your diet in a way to where you're losing, you know, like I said, absolute most 1%. 0.5% is fine. Another thing that happens from losing too much weight is rib flare. I'll try and show some pictures in here that show you what rib flare is. You have a little bit of a muscle imbalance that's mostly caused by losing weight too quickly. You end up having rib flare, which actually makes your lower chest, it makes eyes go right to your lower chest, especially your eyes. And it's just not pleasing to the eye. There's people who have sustained rib flare that won't go away who actually get surgery because they hate how it looks so much. A lot of the bodybuilders way back in the day had it. They didn't realize what was causing it and stuff like that. But if you have a good balanced workout and you don't lose weight too quickly and you keep your body in a well stretched out, well, we'll get the posture too, you shouldn't deal with the rib flare. Another thing, as far as drawing too much attention to it, the area where your gyno is, you don't want to overtrain your sternal head of your chest. You instead want to emphasize the clavicle head. Obviously, your sternal head is going to take up more of your actual chest, but when you start putting on a lot of powerful muscle in your chest, it tends to kind of bump out down here. You know, that's kind of where the epicenter of it is. You know, you've got your separation here, and you'll see that there. That's just, wow, I'm getting a nice thick muscle there. Wow, I'm doing a bench press and it's really popping out here. Well, the problem with that is that's going to push out the fatty tissue. You know, like some guys who carry a lot of body fat around, like I did in some of my earlier pictures here, I looked very muscular. I looked like a really big dude. But I mean, honestly, that's just, you're building enough muscle where you can see at least the minor contour of it on the outside, but that muscle is pushing the fat to the surface. So you get more circumference, but you're never gonna get ripped like that. You're just getting more bulk. Bulk on your lower chest when you have gyno is obviously a big no-no. You don't want that. Obviously, at some point here, you're gonna completely build your chest with perfect proportion along with the rest of your body. But at the beginning, you're probably going to want to get your body used to strengthening your clavicle head. Another reason for that is just for the simple fact that it seems like everyone's clavicle head is underdeveloped. It's a smaller muscle, but you know, you don't see as much protrusion from it. You really need to build that thing. You don't use it much in everyday life. So I focused on the clavicle head in the last few months, and it's made a world of difference. I mean, a huge difference. One thing I'll show in a short video or photo here is the fact that in many instances, you're never going to completely stop your body from depositing fat where it wants to deposit fat. That is genetic. It's going to give you a lot on your lower chest. So what are you going to do? You are going to lift that. And the only way to lift that is to build that upper chest. So picture, you're basically filling the skin with muscle. If you fill it up here, this skin is going to stretch, and by stretching, it's going to pull everything up. You know, even if a guy has some gyno and stuff, if you take a look at him and he has, huge upper, clavicle head chest muscle to where he basically has no visible clavicle at all, and you see that big separation up here, chances are you're either A, not noticing any gyno on him, or B, it is actually raising when he flexes in the slightest bit to fill that skin up, to fill that area up. You're pushing everything in tighter. Whereas, like I was saying before, if you build in here in the middle and lower chest, at a disproportionate rate, well, then you're just pushing the fat outward and you're just going to see more of it. Also, the clavicle head is more responsible for what you may have not even noticed you have here. If you have the gyno thing going on, you're going to notice a little bit of fatty deposit through here on your side. And you're going to say, well, wait a minute. You'd be saying the same things that I say. Wait a minute, I have lats. My back is damn near shredded. Why do I have this extra thing here? Well, when you really start to feel it, yeah, it seems like it's even with your lower chest, but it's really not. It's actually kind of hanging off of where your clavicle head is and sagging down. So, you tighten that up and you pull, you build that muscle there. That's going to go away. Boom. I'm holding it right now and it's gone. Completely gone. If I hold it down here, it makes no bit of difference. So that shows you right there, it's kind of connected. Your posture, I meant to mention it sooner. Of course, you're not going to want to correct your posture if you have gyno to rolling your shoulders back and pushing them down because you feel like your chest will stick out more. Well, unbelievably, that's not the case. I had to teach myself this too. It may stick out more, but it'll stick out more in a I have pecs way rather than a I have sagging boobs way. A lot of us, like me in particular, I have a really bad shoulder that I've mentioned before, so I was always kind of rolling my shoulders forward. Now, if you pay attention to what that does to your chest, just feel your chest when your shoulders rolled forward that way. It's soft everywhere, specifically in that area where your gyno is. Now, pull that thing back and, even have your palm out. All of a sudden, you still feel a little of the gyno, but everything's tight. I mean, this sounds like common sense, but we really have to check ourselves and teach ourselves to have proper posture. I recommend building up your rear delts. Now, if your shoulders are slumped forward, you're kind of moving around like this. Yeah, what do you know? You're pudding. So I think that over time, you have to realize that you're doing this over a period of years. I think you're training different fibers of your muscles to adapt, essentially. I do have kind of a roadmap to getting rid of gyno completely. Now, there are some people who are outliers, who it's so severe that there really is nothing they can do except for surgery. That's totally up to them. But I'm talking about the light to moderate cases for the most part. We do this for aesthetics. Obviously, we love the health that comes with it, the feeling of strength and everything. But, by and large, it's aesthetics. And if you can manipulate your body in a way to where it looks as though a problem issue is completely alleviated, that's what you're always going to go for, man. So like I said, you're going to want to lose weight, but do it moderately, and you're going to want to build your your clavicle head, I should say. You want to lift that up. You want to get your shoulders rolled back, no matter how awkward it is at first. It even will feel a little uncomfortable. But after a little while, I've only been doing it for, a month and a half, and I'm kind of used to it. When I'm walking around, my posture's better. And yeah, it'll seem like your chest sticks out more, but the whole chest sticks out more. So you're seeing that upper chest stick out before you see the lower. It doesn't look like boobs no more. It looks like pecs. Big difference to those of us who deal with gyno. You want to hear pecs, not boobs or chest. You know what I mean? As far as frequency of training, I actually do my pecs at this point 3 times a week. That's what I need to stimulate mine to grow properly. That's what has worked for me. I don't know for sure what would work for you. I'd have to hear details of your experience and what has worked in other parts of your body and things like that. I'm not an expert. I'm just really experienced with finding these kind of workarounds and stuff like that. But I would say 2 to 3 times a week. Don't do once. You clearly need to overstimulate this muscle to the point where it's growing at a more exponential rate in one area in particular. So yeah, take that with you. Lose weight moderately, build the clavicle head. Obviously with incline movements, I never go beyond a 45-degree incline movement. That's bad for your shoulders. My shoulders are destroyed as it is. I'm usually 15, maybe 30. Even at times when I kind of planned to do my flat bench, I skip the flat bench entirely and do a 15-degree. I'm still stimulating the rest of my chest, my sternal head, just fine. As far as your flies, when you're coming up from down below, you're really going to hit your clavicle head with those. I mean, you're still going to want to do your flies from everywhere else. Like I said, we want to have balance here, but put a little bit of an emphasis on the clavicle head. Get that posture right. Do whatever you can do to strengthen your rear delts. To kind of give your shoulders a foundation where they're not overusing your front delts, because that is the kind of like the first ingredient to the recipe for disaster for weak pecs. Also, focus on maximum hypertrophy based on long sets, good long negatives. My sets are normally 40 to 50 seconds each. And that's normally on average, let's say, in the 12 rep range or so. So, I mean, you're looking at a little over 3 seconds per rep. So it's kind of 1 1,000, 2 1,000, 3 1,000, and then boom. Your negative, actually, guys like Dorian Yates have talked about this at length. Your negative is actually putting your muscle through more stress. Definitely think of that. It does improve your mind-muscle connection too, because the negative is what's important. If you know how something's coming down on you, it gives you an idea on how to push. If you feel something coming down on you, say you've got a dresser dropping on you at an angle and it's here, well, you're going to know that a twisting motion that way will get it off of you. Whereas if you just stayed straight, that's not going to work out well. So your slow negative, and if you really focus, and this is what makes the time go by a little longer, you really focus on, okay, I'm feeling it here, I'm feeling it there, now it's spread really well throughout. You're really going to feel that stress come down on your chest, and you'll know exactly which parts of the movements kind of emphasize what. Another thing that really helped me was dips, slightly wider dips, not the narrow ones that are for the triceps. It's still a tricep exercise. But what I've noticed is that I'll get a really good pump that kind of rounds my pec out from the dips. Because of just where your shoulder joint is, where it connects to your chest via the clavicle head, you're going to get a lot of stimulation there, especially if you lean forward. God, I can feel it right now and I'm not even doing anything. The dips are going to help. I mean, maybe don't make them a primary exercise in your chest routine, but if you're doing chest and tries together, maybe mix in an extra set of dips. Or, like let's say you're going for 12 sets on your chest or something. Maybe do 10 of the other exercises and mix in 2 of dips. And with those, for when you're really trying to stimulate the chest with them, that's all negative. Your push upward that way is going to be more tricep. You want to really focus on coming down, and you're going to feel that clavicle head really get a nice pump, and you'll feel that muscle stretching. That's just been my experience. I know most guys nowadays are like, well, the dips don't stimulate enough muscle growth, blah, 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 blah. It's more of a tricep movement. I don't know. If you've got an assisted dip rack at your gym, you can kind of flip the handles. I just go to the wider handle and I do slow controlled dips. I'll do an explosive movement going up, but I'm doing slow controlled ones down. And, I started with assisted dips. Now it's almost like I need to add weight. I think that pretty much covers it. Like I said before, lose some weight, but not too quickly. Emphasize a bit of the clavicle head. Don't build your entire workout around flat bench press. That's not really the way you want to think about it. Protect that shoulder. Well, both shoulders. I say that shoulder because I have an evil shoulder. Maybe work some dips in there. Train it 2 to 3 times a week. By it, I mean chest. And get them longer sets in with the really good negatives. Like I said, I'm going to do a more comprehensive thing. I'll have some kind of program that I'll put together. I have to go back to my journals and cut out all the crap that didn't work. Basically I'm trimming the fat off for people here. Hey, I like that. Maybe we'll use that for something. But anyway, I hope this has been informative. If you have any questions or comments, drop them in the section below. Make sure you check the description for other stuff I got going on. And make sure you keep checking in for the progress. Especially for you haters that are like, oh, this dude's not jacked. He's not, competitive level. Why should I listen to him? Keep watching that progress, man. Because I'm not missing any days at the gym because of your negative attitude. Actually, I might even take in an extra one this week. Make sure you rest up too. Other than that, Professor Pump and lecture over. Class dismissed.